Hi everybody, today's video is going to be a commemoration video to celebrate my 1 year of YouTube videos, or otherwise known as FlossTube in our wonderful community. And I have decided to celebrate my 1 year Flossiversary, thank you Claire, by showing you all of my finishes to date. So you are going to see everything that I have finished from the last 25 years of stitching. That's how long I have been stitching. And in all honesty, the majority of my finishes have actually occurred within the last 2 years, because you guys are all amazing and you have all inspired me to stitch as much as I possibly can. And I'm just very grateful to all of you that have helped me in this journey and have inspired me and have encouraged me. So thank you. I hope you all enjoy this video. It's going to be pretty long, so I suggest you press pause, go and make yourself a nice cup of tea or coffee, get your stitching out, sit back and enjoy. So because there are so many finishes to show you, as well as FFOs, I thought the best way to do it was using my cross stitch journal app and to just go through them all in alphabetical order, because that is how they're listed on my app. I have the app out right in front of me. I have all the information that I can remember from when I have stitched it. Obviously, some things being 25 years ago, there's very limited information there, but I will let you know whatever I can remember for each thing. I will also show you the original chart for those that I still have, and I actually still have quite a lot of them, which is good. I'm a bit of a hoarder, I suppose. I can't seem to let those go. And for those items that I cannot show you in person because I have either gifted them or they're not in my possession for whatever reason, I will put up a picture, because I have taken pictures of most of my finishes. And but in some cases they are really, really bad pictures because, you know, back before digital cameras and smartphones. So bear with me with those, and let's make a start. So the first item I have on my list is my son's 16th birthday card. Now I have searched high and low for this card and I can't find it. He's a teenager, it's in his room somewhere. So I'm going to insert a picture here. Now this card was obviously stitched for my son's birthday this year. It is from the Cross Stitch Card Shop magazine, issue 94. The designer was Rhonda Norrie, and I stitched this on 14 count white Ada, and I chose my own colours because I just chose colours that my son would love. As you can see, the card says 16 you rock, and after I finished it I wish I'd actually changed the words to 16 you rap, because my son likes rap music. Anyway, so he really loved this little card, the first card that I have ever made for him, and I will find it one day in the house. It wouldn't have been thrown out, I hope. And next we have 99 by Ink Circles. Now a lot of us call this design 99 bottles, but the actual design name is 99, as it says there. This is the original chart. Now when you actually order this original chart, you also get a list of all the bottle names, which is really handy. People like me that don't drink beer. So I stitched this one on the recommended 32 count Belfast linen in the colour Ale, and this fabric is by Picture This Plus. This is my first Picture This Plus fabric, and it was really lovely to stitch on. Do a close up for you. I know a lot of people are stitching this design, and a lot of people have actually finished this design. And I'm sure they'll agree with me when I say it is a fun design, because each little bottle is like a little finish. This one took me 32 days to stitch, and for anyone that's interested, nearly 130 hours. I didn't time all of my projects, so you're not going to hear me state the time for each one, but for those that I did, I will make mention of it. I just do that out of self-interest. So this was actually stitched for my husband. I started this in November last year and finished in April this year. And as you can tell, it hasn't been framed yet, but hope to get this finished up for him for his birthday this year in December, because I'm sure he'll like this for his man cave. And next is A Bride's Prayer by Paula Vaughan. There's the original chart. And this is my first Paula Vaughan that I have ever stitched. Completely fell in love with this design. And I used the recommended 28 count cream cashel linen. And, sorry, it's actually been rolled up for quite some time, waiting for me to frame it. So I stitched this one back in 2002. And as you can see, there is a lot of detail, a lot of colour changes, a lot of back stitching. Just such a beautiful design to stitch. It was stitched 2/2 back in 2002, did I say that? And I know that because that's how I used to sign my name. Not very well. I don't like it as much as my little initials that I sign with now. But I just love this design. The young lady kneeling by her bed saying her prayers on the eve of her wedding day. The 4-poster bed, which I love. Especially love the roses or the flowers at the top there, and also in the basket at the bottom. So I also stitched the companion piece to this one, which I will show you later on. And the idea was to frame the two of them and have them both hanging above my bed. And of course there is nothing hanging above my bed. And I won't put anything else up above there because that's where these are supposed to go. And I will get to that one day. And next we have a design that I stitched for my sister. It is called Antique Charm by Sunset. Sunset is the company. The designer name is Deletta R. Surek. And this was a kit that I purchased. And my sister was in a phase of just loving antiques, antique furniture and antique porcelain dolls and teddy bears. So I stitched this up for her birthday. And I'll insert a picture here of the photograph of the finish. This was stitched using the kit fabric of 14 count ivory Aida, and obviously I used all the threads that were included within the kit. I cannot remember what year I stitched this, but I know she really loved it, and that made me happy. Again, this is another very detailed piece with a lot of back stitching. But it's always lots of fun putting in the back stitching and seeing those little pieces come to life. They look nothing beforehand, but as soon as you add that back stitching, it just adds so much more detail. And then we have Antique Floral Alphabet by Leisure Arts. That is the chart there. Terrible glare from the light, sorry about that. So as you can see in this chart, you have a floral alphabet letter for each letter of the alphabet. And there's some ideas on the back. Welcome and love and adding initials to things. So I had big plans for this one. I actually wanted to stitch the quilt with all the letters, and I still would like to. So that is why I'm not getting rid of this chart. But for now, I actually stitched my own letter. Letter C, and I'm glad I found this again because I lost it for a period of time, so I wasn't sure what to do with it when I finished, but I think I might turn it into a little cushion, maybe even a pin cushion, something like that. This is stitched on 28 count Lugana, and I have no idea what year I stitched that. It was a long time ago. Very pretty little piece. Now most of you are already familiar with this next design and probably really sick of seeing them, so I apologise that I have to show them again. But this is April Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks, and this was my very first cottage that I stitched from the Cottage of the Month series, because I didn't start in January like a normal person would do, but I discovered these a little bit later on, so I decided to stitch them up anyway. So I began these by stitching them on the 1st of each month. So this is April. So I began on the 1st of April and finished on the 16th of April, and this is stitched on 28 count lambswool linen, 2/2, and I use the DMC threads. The chart actually provides alternatives in Classic Colourworks, Sampler Threads and Weeks Dye Works, but I just decided to stick to DMC for the entire series. And I finished it off in a no-sew cube, the little ribbon attachment, and I do each of these different for each month. I try and pick colours from the design and just incorporate them that way. And I have little glass feet on the bottom. So this is a stitch along that I did, and my friend Stitchy Mum on Instagram also joined in with the stitch along, and she's stitching these each month with me, which is really lovely. It's nice having a stitchy friend to enjoy a project with. And you can see, because I haven't shown it yet, there is my signature, my initials, and also the year, which I adapted from an alphabet book that I found. So yeah, these are just a lovely design. Obviously they're quite large to store, but I have plenty of room behind me. You can see this is where, for now, that's where they are stored. I've done 6 now. Whether they stay there, I don't know. I don't want them to collect dust, but for now, that's their home. And then next we actually have August Cottage in the same series. And there it is there, which is a lovely beach theme with the waves on the dock. Like the blues in that one. And this is my finish. So I started this one on the 1st of August and finished stitching on the 16th of August. Again on the same fabric, 28 count lambswool linen. Just love the little seagulls in there and the shells, they're so pretty. This one was really quick to stitch up because the waves at the bottom were just much easier, much quicker, less colour change. And this time I picked a blue. I couldn't find a nice beachy theme in my store, so I picked a matching blue and a coral. And I actually made the ribbon this time out of the fabric. So that's that one. Next we have Baby Birth Sampler, which is by Vervaco. You guys know I have trouble with this one. This is a kit. That's the designer name up there. So with the kit you get the cotton, which I don't think is DMC because it doesn't mention that it's DMC, but you get the cotton for both the blue and the pink, so you decide which one you want to stitch. And I was stitching this one for my niece, my great niece, who turns 1 in November. And it's all finished now. And you guys are actually the first ones to see the finish. Okay, so here it is here. And I've just put a little sticky tab over her birth details because that is private. And I'm sure her mum and dad don't want me sharing that to the entire world. But it's just such a lovely, lovely design. So the kit includes 14 count ivory Aida, but I decided to stitch this on linen. Sorry, I decided to stitch this on Lugana, 32 count ivory Lugana, and I stitched this 2/2. I actually, although you can't see it, I changed the font for her date of birth and her weight because I don't know, I stitched them up and I just didn't really like how they looked, so I changed them around. This one took me 13 days of stitching and 42.5 hours. There's a lot of colour changes in there. This one hasn't been washed or ironed yet. I'll do that just before I frame it. So hopefully she'll love that one as much as I do. I think all babies should have a birth sampler. Next is my first ever cross stitch that I ever stitched, that I ever finished. Way back in 1990 I started this one. Didn't finish it till 1991. I wasn't stitching it all that time, but just had a period of time that I put it away because it just got too scary. I got too scared that I was going to stuff it up, so I rolled it up and put it away, and then I ended up having an operation and was really bored and pulled it out one day and finished it. I said, wow, why was I so scared? Don't have to be scared. This is it here. It's called Backyard Swing, and it's by Dimensions. And I actually can't find the chart. I don't remember getting rid of the chart, so it might be still around the house somewhere. But I love this design. This hung in my daughter's bedroom for many, many, many years. But of course now she's 18. She's too old for it to hang in her room now. But I will always keep this piece. This was also my first piece that I had professionally framed. Very happy with the colours that were chosen. And would you believe the hard part, the part that I was scared of messing up, was the ropes and the back stitching, which I find that hilarious now because it's just super easy, nothing to be scared of at all. But this will always be my favourite piece because it was my first ever cross stitch design and the thing that actually led me into this wonderful hobby. So that's that one. Next we have some bibs. Now I went a little bit crazy in stitching bibs when I was pregnant. And the funny thing is my babies never wore them. The reason being is both my babies were quite sick when they were young, as in after a feed would vomit everywhere. It's no other nice way of saying it. And there was no way I wanted my bibs wrecked. So I just bought them cheap bibs from Kmart and they wore them, and these ones got put away for a memory for the future, which was a shame. This bib was from For the Love of Cross Stitch magazine, issue May 1992, designed by Lorraine, Birmingham. And this one is personalised with my daughter's name. This is called Very Cute Bibs. It's so cute. Love the little bears. Stitching on bibs is so much fun and super easy. If you've never done it, I suggest it. It's a great little gift for someone who's just had a baby, especially because you can personalise it. I ended up doing one for my son, which we'll get to later. It says 14 count white Ada, by the way, stitch 2/1. And next is my son's bib of the same design, which I'll insert a picture here because, again, I have misplaced it. I seem to misplace all my son's things for some reason. Boys get into everything. So obviously same designer, came from the same magazine, and this was also stitched on 14 count white. And again, another one, this one is my nephew. I'll insert a picture here. Same magazine, same designer, and this was a present for my nephew. So all these three bibs were stitched around between 1997 to 1999, around those years. I didn't make note of when they were exactly finished, or started for that matter, but it's around that time. Now next is another one I don't actually have the chart for. This is the Beatrix Potter alphabet letter L, which I stitched for my daughter. This is it all framed. And this one is another favourite because this is the first piece that I framed myself. And when I say I framed it myself, I mean I actually cut the timber frame, stapled them together, glued and stapled them together, cut the mat board myself, I laced the cross stitch design, I did everything. I actually went to a series of picture framing courses, and then I went to the advanced picture framing courses so that I could learn how to mount cross stitch. There's the back, so you can see this is how it was finished off with the rings. So it's all very well secured in there, and we were shown how to add the extra wood to get the extra depth that's needed. If you look really carefully, you can see that the oval isn't perfectly oval. Not bad for my first attempt. I was pretty happy with that. Just upset that I didn't actually sign this one, which would have been nice. So that's that one, and I'm very proud of that one. So next we have the Beatrix Potter Storybook sampler, which I did for my daughter. And this is it here. Just going to cover up her date of birth. And that is it there. Again, not framed. Very bad habit. So this was stitched on the recommended 18 count ivory Aida. And this was completed back in 1998. And I just really love those Beatrix Potter characters. They just never date. So that's that one. And next is the birthday cake word cloud that I did for a friend's birthday. Now these were this was a chart taken from a magazine, which is Cross Stitch Card Shop magazine, and I don't know what issue it was. And try and show this without showing the chart. Okay, so that was it there. That's all I had to go by. And I'll insert a picture here of the finished card. So this was stitched on 14 count white Aida, and just love how all those colours came together to represent that birthday cake there with the candles on the top and the balloons, and just really pretty. The design was by Ursula Designs, and I've actually gone on to stitch 2 more of her word cloud designs, so I really love them. This was a simple finish on the card where I just glued the design onto a piece of colourful card and then onto the card itself. That was a lot of fun to make. So the next one, which just happens to be in the next order, is the other design by Ursula Designs, and that is the cocktail glass. That is it there. So I'll insert a picture here of my finish. Now I stitched this for my niece's birthday, and this is on 14 count white Aida as well, and I changed the colour and I used DMC 550 because my niece likes purple, and I made this one into an aperture card, which is my first aperture card that I'd ever made, so that was a lot of fun, and that only took a day to stitch that one. Very easy, simple. It's always nice making birthday cards for people. And next is Lizzie Kate Bless the Graduate, which I stitched for my daughter because she graduated high school. And this is it here. And with this one I made a few changes. I stitched this on 32 count lambswool linen, and this was my first time using variegated thread. I'd never used it before. So the variegated thread is DMC number 52, and I used that along the top there and along the bottom, and as you can see I completely changed the colours in the design to purples because that suited my daughter better, and I bought a different heart down the bottom there. So the colours I used were DMC 208, 209, 210 and 211, and I used Jewel Effects in purple and lilac for that finish. Now we actually took the glass out of this to help it sit better within the frame, and I've got this out of her wardrobe, and I've noticed she's now got some marks on here, so it's going to have to be fixed up, probably reframed. That's okay, it's a project to do for another day. So I actually stitched this in October last year, and it took me, I started it on the 20th of October and finished it on the 26th of October. So I think it only took me a day or two to actually stitch it. So lots of fun. Next one, you've all seen it. And I'm actually not going to take it off the wall because it's way too big. This is the design I'm talking about, is Heaven and Earth Designs Blue Dragon. My very first Heaven and Earth design, and I love this piece so much. I cannot tell you how much I love this piece. I look at this design on the wall and I see so many things. I see messages of strength and courage. I see a year of my life. This took me, I'll insert a picture here while I talk. This took me approximately 315 days of stitching. So I started it on the 25th of January 2014 and I finished on the 30th of December 2014. My goal was to finish it before 2015, and I did that, but the last few days were mammoth efforts of stitching to get it done in time, which I don't recommend because I ended up with some severe pain in my wrist. This was my very first attempt at parking, which I absolutely love, and there is no way on earth that I would have stitched this within a year had I not used the parking method. This is stitched 2/1 full crosses on 18 count white Aida, and the finished design size is 25 inches by 18 inches. And I've given you that size because I know looking at a photograph you really can't tell how big something is, so you can tell by that exactly the size. Obviously the frame size is much bigger again. I did mention how many days. The amount of hours is approximately 1,380 hours of stitching. That is a lot. That is epic. I just love this piece so much, and I'm so happy that so many other stitchers have been inspired to also stitch this piece. The detail is incredible. The artwork by Kayomi, Harai, not sure if I've pronounced that correctly, but his artwork is absolutely stunning. I would love to stitch up the other dragons, but in all fairness, I probably wouldn't. The reason is I just have so many things that I want to stitch, and I have a dragon now that I'm happy with. So at this point in time, I don't see the need to have multiple dragons within my home. But, you know, never say never. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this design. It certainly has pride of place in my home, and I'm so happy that I got it finished and framed, and it's a piece that I will certainly be proud of for the rest of my life, and hopefully it will become a family heirloom one day. Next is a design called Cafe Walk 2, designed by James Lee, and it's done through Mystic Stitch Incorporated. And this is the chart. Now this is not a Heaven and Earth design, but it's along the same lines, and this was my first full coverage big piece before the dragon, and I can tell you that this was stitched in the traditional manner of working on one page at a time and working on a colour section. So I'll include a picture and point it out as we go. to sit here, and it's not going to fit. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. So I really liked this piece because of the realism. I love how it looks like it's a European street on a wet rainy day. I must say that I was a little disappointed in it, in that the colours came out a lot darker than they did in the image, if you can see there. But now, having stitched a Heaven and Earth design, I know that that's completely normal, that the colours aren't going to be exact to the image. And it's one of these pieces that you need to step back and take a look at from afar to truly appreciate it. So what I was saying before was we work on a page at a time, and I would probably work on a section and then just stitch as much as I could within that area of that one colour before I moved on. So I didn't record how long this one took to stitch, unfortunately. This was back in 2011, thereabouts. Sorry, yes, I actually did sign it. It's down the bottom there. So 2011 it was finished. When it was started, I don't know. I would say more than a year. More than a year for this. The finished design size is 11 3/4 inches by 28 3/4 inches. And this is on 14 count white Aida. So for those of you that want to know if you can stitch a Heaven and Earth design on 14 count, yes you can. You won't lose the detail. But knowing what I know now, the smaller the count, I think the better the detail is. And for anyone interested, I'll show you the back. It's still a mess, but you can still see the images. So that's another one that needs to be framed and up in my home. Next is a design called Carriage Ride, and the chart is called With Baby in Mind, Gift Ideas for Baby Showers by Leisure Arts. It's the chart there, and this is the design here that I stitched, and I'll include a picture of it here. So I have no recollection of who I stitched this for, when it was started or when it was finished, unfortunately. I do know it was stitched on 14 count white Aida, and the design size is about, it was 5 1/8 of an inch by 3.5 inches. So it's just a nice cute little antique looking pram there with the teddy inside, and he's got his own little teddy as well, and then a lovely duck taking him for a walk. So just a nice cute little quick stitch. As I said, can't remember who it was for or what it was turned into, whether I framed it. I think I would have framed it. But yeah, that's that one. And next one is my first ever Lizzie Kate designs that I have ever stitched, and this is called Cat Lessons for People. The chart there. I know quite a few of you have seen this one. Lizzie has also got a similar chart which is for dog lovers, which I'd like to stitch up as well. So here is mine, and this linen doesn't like to roll very well. I like to roll my finished pieces instead of folding them, because sometimes getting those fold lines out is a bit tricky. So there it is there. So this was stitched on 32 count natural light linen, and it's 2/2 full crosses, and I started this one on the 6th of January last year and finished on the 14th of January. Very quick and easy. I just used the DMC. Lizzie also provides conversions for Weeks Dye Works and Crescent Colours, as well as Anchor equivalent. It's really cute. Love the little cat in the middle and the goldfish bowl. I think they're my two favourite things. But as you all know, I'm a cat lover, so I had to stitch this one. Okay, back to Bibs for a moment. I'm going to insert a picture here. This one is called Caterpillar, and this was a gift for someone, and can't remember who it was for. The designer is Sam Hawkins, and I just love the bright colours in this particular bib. This was a lot of fun to stitch. Again, it was on 14 count white baby bib, and just really bright and playful, very cheery for a baby. Next one is a recent finish, and you've all probably seen this one as well. This is Celtic Autumn by Lavender and Lace, and this is the original chart picture there. Now, as most of you are aware, I stitched the conversion colours for this design because I felt that those colours didn't represent autumn as well as the conversion did. So this is her here, all finished. So this is 28 count mushroom Lagana, which I love. The colours just pop so nicely on the mushroom. I started this on 4th of May this year and finished 5th of October. So this took me 30 days of stitching and 152 hours. And I did mention I have a detailed video of this particular design, so if any of you are interested in hearing a little bit more about it, it's the video previous to this one. And I did mention in there that I wasn't so sure why this took a lot longer than Janet's, that she also stitched in the same colourway, but I completely forgot the stitching 1/1 that I did for her skin and her hands and for the leaves. That would have certainly attributed to the extra time, because 1/1 stitching takes 4 times as long, because you have 4 tiny stitches for every 1 normal stitch. So you can add that on to the extra time. I ran out of beads on this one of the bronze colour, so I had to purchase a second pack, and the second pack didn't match up in colour. Again, all this is mentioned in the previous video. And this was my first time using Petite Treasure braid, which I absolutely love. And you can see a lot of it there in the detail of her dress. I love Petite Treasure braid so much. I've just actually ordered quite a few golds for another design and a colour card so that I can match them up in future for other designs that I want to stitch. So this is my first Lavender and Lace Celtic Lady. I do plan on doing the other 4. So there's one for each season, and then there's one for Christmas as well. And there are other conversions out there for Halloween, for Easter, but just different times of the year. So if you're interested in those, ladies, I suggest you having a good look on the internet, because there's a lot of information out there. But really love this one. And then we have my first ever Biscornu, which is by the Sweetheart Tree. Sorry about the glare. And this is called Cherry Blossoms, and it's a pincushion. And I'm going to insert a picture here. Now this one, some of you will remember, was stitched for my mum for her birthday, and this was my first ever Biscornu, and I'm so proud of it. It was just such a delight to stitch. I started it on the 27th of April and I finished it on the 25th of May. It was a kit, so everything was provided. The fabric, which was 32 count opalescent raw Belfast linen, which my first ever time using that, and it was just so beautiful and sparkly. There were Threadworks over-dyed threads in there, as well as DMC, so all that was used. There were beads. This was my first time ever doing specialty stitches. I've never done specialty stitches before, ever. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of learning involved there. And obviously my first time ever assembling a Biscornu, which I was a little bit nervous about, but nothing to be nervous about. If anyone is interested, I actually have a tutorial, a photograph tutorial showing you how to put one of these together. Don't be frightened of them. They really are simple. It's just getting the starting point correct and not missing any holes, and you'll be fine. Love this so much that I actually want to make one for myself. But when I started making it, I knew that I was making it for my mum, so I wasn't going to turn back on that, and she loves it. Next one is a little gift that I just made for my niece's christening. It's Nothing really special, but it's just a little thing to commemorate her christening. I'm going to insert a picture of it here. I have no idea where I got this design from. I think it was from a magazine. It was just a border design, and as you can see there, I put in her name and the date of her christening, I think that says. I can't quite see on my image. I finished that in October of 1995. So they're quite some time ago. And I just finished it off with a little bit of lace there. And obviously it's meant to be folded up and used as a handkerchief, but I think it's just been put away as something for her to keep and look back on in years to come. Next one is called Cominos House, and this is by Ross Originals, and this is my very tatty looking chart because it has been borrowed out to a friend, and this is back before I knew to photocopy and have working charts, and it's all torn in places and it's really terrible, but I can't bear to part with it because of the significant meaning. So this is it, all framed. So this was stitched for my father after he passed away. My father, in the last few years of his life, moved to Queensland, which is in the top end of Australia, and he loved it there. And when I saw this piece, I was actually at a craft show at the time. So I'm just going to put it down because it's a bit heavy. I was at a craft show at the time, and I was walking through, and I just saw this design, and it said Cominos House, Cairns, which is exactly the place where my father lived, Cairns in Queensland. And I knew right then and there that I had to stitch this for him. What I love about this design is there is no colour recommended to stitch it. You choose one colour, only one, and the design will turn out like this. The shading effect that you get from this design is obtained by using 1, 2 and 3 strands and using full crosses and half crosses, and it creates this beautiful sketch-like effect. My girlfriend actually borrowed the chart from me and she stitched this up as well, and she did it in a blue, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So you could choose to stitch this up in any colour that you like, and the shading effect will still work out the same. There is one other colour involved, which is white, and the white is used on the porch there. And I have mentioned in a previous video that I really regret not washing this piece. Now obviously years ago when I began stitching, I never knew that it was recommended to wash your pieces, and in fact I probably would have been too scared to anyway. And I didn't wash this, and I do wash my hands. I am a very clean person when I stitch. I do wash my hands whenever I touch anything, but over the years it has tarnished, and it is evident in the white. Not in here, not in the fabric or anything like that, but just in the white cotton, and that's really disappointing. So at some stage this was professionally framed, so at some stage this is going to have to be removed from the frame and washed to see if it will come out, or just restitched in the white part, because I really don't want it to stay as it is. But fantastic design to stitch. I know Nina, I think it's Nina, that is actually stitching this one, and I was quite surprised because she's not an Australian, so it's lovely to see someone else appreciating the design. But it's very, very clever. Ross Originals have quite a few designs out there, all Australian type, a lot of animals, things like that. But yeah, this one holds a very special place in my heart because it's for my dad. And I was asked once if I would be willing to sell it. Never. Never, ever, ever. And I forgot to mention that this was stitched on 14 count white Aida. I don't know how long it took me to finish, but I did stitch it in 1994. because that was the year my father passed away. So they are all the details I have as far as that goes. Next one is a card that I stitched for my great niece's christening, and I'm going to insert a picture here. So this is a cross card, and I obtained this design from Cross Stitch Collection magazine, issue May 1998, and it was designed by Karen Hunt. Now I stitched this one on 32 count antique white linen, and this was my first time ever stitching on linen for the purpose of turning it into a card, and I did find it a little bit tricky. I actually do now prefer to stitch on Aida for cards because the fabric is thicker and it's a little bit easier to stretch around. The linen is obviously very soft and a little bit slipperier within the card. I changed this design a little bit by adding some DMC light effects, and the colour I used was a peach, which is E967. So I just added one strand of that to the cross just to give it a little bit of bling. Not too much, I didn't want the piece to be really sparkly, but just enough to give it a little bit of a sparkly effect. I started this design 24th of June this year and finished it on the 11th of July. And obviously the date there is the date of her christening. And that was a lot of fun to stitch, and obviously my first ever christening card that I have ever stitched. The next one is a series of 4 designs that I'm going to show them all together because they're a series. They came from a book which I know I did get rid of. It was a Winnie the Pooh book, and I stitched these for my children's bedroom, and with the intention of getting them framed, and it didn't happen. So we'll start with the first one. This one is Eeyore. Thanks for unglooming me. This was back when before I realised the value of wasting fabric. See, I wouldn't do that now. I figured out I could probably put 2 of them on this size fabric, but it's 14 count Aida, it's pretty cheap. Next one is Tigger, Absolutely Positively Splendiferous. These were so much fun to stitch, and I'm sure they would have looked great up on the wall had I have taken it that next step. And we have Winnie the Pooh. Bother free is the way to be. Very cute, like those butterflies down the bottom too. And Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, sorry, not Tigger, Piglet, it's friendlier with 2. So as I said, these are a little mini series. No idea when I stitched these. Probably around somewhere between 97 and 99, 1997 and 1999. So quite some time ago. And they're actually folded and stored in a plastic bag all this time. Just such a shame. Nice to make something out of them. Maybe I'll hang on to them when I'm a grandmother, because everyone loves Winnie the Pooh. Again, another ageless character. So that's that one. Next is Festival. And this was a freebie that I found on the internet. I can't remember the details right now, and I don't have it written down in front of me. So if I do. It's Holly's Hobbies. So I got that off the internet for free, and I turned this one into a Christmas ornament. This was my first ever Christmas ornament, so I'm really proud of it. I put some backing paper on the back, put a little braid hanger on the top, and this is stuffed with all my Ort threads from 2014. So I'm going to continue to do that each year. So I stitched this on my dad's birthday, which is the 13th of December, and I'm going to continue to do that each year in memory of my dad, because if he was alive, he would like that. He would like to say, I like that you do that on my birthday every year. So I'm going to continue to do that. I changed up the freebie design a little by adding some beads to his hat and also some beads to the holly down there. This is my first Christmas ornament. As I said, my first time finishing something off as a pillow and stuffing it. 14 count ecru Ada, and it took me a day. Stitched this up in a day. How easy is that? Super simple, and it's just going to be so lovely hanging ornaments up each year on the tree. Love it. So as well as bibs, I also got into stitching on towels, fingertip towels. So this one is from Soft Touches for Towels by Leisure Arts. And that's the chart there. Quite a few nice floral designs on there. And this is my towel. Just fold that up. Here it is there. Again, never used. Too afraid it would get wrecked. It's a shame, isn't it? Pretty little roses. 14 count white Ada, stitch 2 over 1. That's all I have. I don't know when I started it or when I finished it. All I can tell you is it was a long time ago. Long time ago. That's very pretty. I think that would be nice as a housewarming gift, wouldn't it? For someone's new house. This next one has a special place in the entrance of my home. The chart is from Cross My Heart and it's called You're Welcome. I'm pretty sure Stitching May has shown this chart before. Sorry about that glare, it's a bit annoying. There we go. So this is the one here that I stitched. And there's some more designs on the back. Can't bear to get rid of this one. I just think it's so lovely. There's something in here to suit everybody. I like that American one at the top. That's nice. And there's the welcome one that I stitched. There it is there in a different colour fabric. So here is mine. Oh, not a big one. There it is there. So this one I finished in 1996. Again, don't know when I started it, don't know how long it took. I'd stitched it on 14 count tan Ada. I used 14 count a lot when I began stitching. Obviously it was the recommended, but now I love 28 counts. So this is stitch 2 over 1. I just love all the different flowers. They're gorgeous. So this was professionally framed and signed again by me. Some pieces I remembered to sign and others I didn't. And this has got the non-reflective glass on it. And I've used this on some pieces and I've used normal glass on others. I do find the non-reflective glass is good because it doesn't reflect light, obviously, but it dulls the colours. So the colours are actually brighter than what they appear under this glass. So I mentioned earlier that I had another Paula Vaughan design that I did as a companion piece to the previous one you saw. So this is it here and it's called From This Day Forward. Here's the chart. And here is mine. Again, she's been rolled up for a very long time. So I stitched this on the recommended 32 count cream Belfast linen, and this was finished back in 2003. So you can see the same bed there, 4-poster bed, but this time the lovely young lady is in her wedding dress, checking herself out in the mirror before she goes off to marry her groom. I love that balcony. I'd love to have a house like that. So beautiful. So it's going to be my goal to get these two framed. The problem is they're both slightly different sizes. And being as I want them side by side above my bed, I'll have to have a bit of a play around with the mat boards so that they will end up being the same size. It's not a very big difference, but just enough. Really love that. Again, lots of colour changes, lots of back stitching. And I know Kerry has stitched a couple of these as well. I know she's done In Her Father's Arms, and she might have done In Her Mother's Arms as well. I have seen them, but I can't remember the names of the charts. But I actually collect Paula Vaughan charts. I started collecting them after doing the first one that I showed, and unfortunately I've only done the 2 so far, but I would like to do more one day. Now the next one was a gift for my brother for his birthday. It's a Joan Elliott design, and it's called Celtic Greeting. This particular one's called Good Fortune, and it was intended as a card, and this was it here. So I'm going to insert a picture of the one I did. There was a lot of stitching in this. I was quite surprised. A lot of work went into this design, in the border especially, and in the motif. When I finished it, I decided it was way too much to be turned into a card, and you know, cards eventually make it into the rubbish bin one day. So instead I framed it myself. Not very well, I might add, but I framed it myself, and in the hope that my brother might take it to work and put it on his desk at work. I really enjoyed stitching it. We're very proud of our Irish ancestry in my family, so I knew my brother would really appreciate the fact that I had stitched him something with an Irish theme to it. I stitched on 14 count white Aida, and you can't see in the image that I showed in the book. Show you that again. You can't see any sparkle there, but hopefully you can see it in the image that I shared, that I stitched. There is definitely sparkle there with the gold metallic thread. It's Krennic 028 in Citron, actually, that's in that. Back to the bibs. Next one is called Grandma's Little Angel, and I love this one. It's so cute. Look at that. I love it. Now, had I known back in 1997 to 1999, I would have, oh, I didn't even realise they're French knots. There's little French knots all through there. I would have actually put sparkle, because you know I like my bling. I would have put some gold metallic thread in there. That would have looked really nice. But yeah, another one that the babies did not wear, so it's in pristine condition. Who knows, maybe my grandchildren won't be sick babies and they'll get to wear them and enjoy them. So again, 14 count white, and this design, actually I have the book for this one. This is by Sam Hawkins. This is the book here. And it is that one right there. I actually also stitched this one, and oh, there's the caterpillar. Look, there he is. Showed you that one before. And I also did Mum's Little Mess. We'll get to that one in a minute. Next one is another birthday card that I made for my daughter this year, my daughter's 18th birthday, and it appears to have gone missing as well. So it appears that all the birthday cards in my family are off somewhere having a massive party together because they don't want to be shown. So I'm going to insert a picture here. This design I got from the Ultimate Cross Stitch Card Magazine, Volume 3, 2014, and it was a design by Susan Bates. I actually modified the design because I wanted to add in, the actual design said happy birthday, and I wanted to have 18 in there somewhere. So I kept the T and the H from birthday, and then I found a font for the 1 and the 8 to add in. And it's not the same font, but I like the fact that it's not the same because it stands out and is quite bold and looks different. So I added that in, and this is stitched on 14 count white Aida, and I finished it up into a nice purple sparkly card because she likes purple, and she really loved it. She liked the fact that I had spent some time and made her own personalised card, so that was really good. I started this one on the 22nd of April and finished it on the 27th of April. So nice, quick, easy finish. And I also used a different border as well to the original design on the card. Next one is a design by Jeremiah Junction Designs, and I obtained this through a magazine, which I think it was For the Love of Cross Stitch, but don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. It was an older magazine. It's called Hunger and Thirst After Righteousness, and this is it here. So I just really liked the country style to this. For the longest time I had a country looking kitchen in my other house. In this section here there was originally a Bible quote, and it didn't speak to me, so I decided to take it out and I replaced it with that. Now obviously this was stitched back in 1996, and you'll notice that that quote that I've put in isn't centered at all. Things you realise. Obviously I wouldn't be happy with that. If that was now, I would make sure that that was in the centre perfectly. But that's okay. It's good to look back on things and realise how far you've come. A lot of back stitching in this design, as you can tell, but some cute little things in there. Every time I look I see something different. A lot of attention to detail. So this one hung up in my kitchen for the longest time, as well as another one. The other one is still hanging in my kitchen now, but I didn't have room for two in my kitchen in this house, so it's only the one. Guess what's next? Another bib. This is from the Cross Stitch Nursery by Linda Gillum. I have a lot of baby books. Again, don't want to get rid of them because I'm going to be a grandma one day, hopefully, and I want to stitch these things. This one's cute because it has an Afghan design on the back, which is really lovely. Quite a few different designs. So this is the one I actually stitched here. Again, was not used. I love you. It's cute. 14 count white baby bib again. No idea when it was stitched. Somewhere between 1997 and 1999. Oh, I wish I kept all the information then that I do now. Life would be a lot easier. And now we have July Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks. I particularly liked this one because I love America, and I thought about changing the flag to the Australian flag, but I decided against it because I love America, so I want to have a little piece of America in my home. This is my finish. I love this one, I really do. So I started this on 1st of July and finished on the 19th of July. Same fabric as the others, 28 count lambswool linen. And I finished this one. I found some lovely red and white striped fabric, and then I found some blue fabric with white stars because I couldn't find blue ribbon with white stars. And I love it. I think it's perfect. So sweet. Love the fireworks. I'd like to go see 4th of July fireworks. I reckon that'd be pretty amazing. We only have New Year's Eve fireworks here in Australia, and they're pretty good too, but I think 4th of July would be great. And what follows July? June. Doesn't really, does it? It's supposed to come first. But in alphabetical order, June is next. My dreaded white stitching. Well, I didn't have to dread it. It was very enjoyable. Here is my finish. I like strawberries, so I particularly liked this one. And again, same fabric as the others. And finish this off with a lovely red and white polka dot with ladybird ribbon, which I found later. Initially I had some yellow ribbon on this, but then I found this ladybird ribbon, which I love. And there's little ladybirds on here, so I just had to put ladybird ribbon on there. It's perfect. Love that. Again, all in DMC as well for the entire series. It's DMC. and so much fun to stitch these. Really lovely. Next is another favourite design. This is by Custom Crafts and it's called Justice and Peace. And that is the book there. I believe this also comes in a kit, but I just purchased the chart and kitted it up myself. And on the back are a couple of other designs by this artist, who is Diane Allaire. Oh, I don't know. Is it there? So this was done on the recommended 14 count Ada and has been rolled up for a while. This one was finished back in 2007 and is a full coverage piece. It's pretty big. And like the other full coverage piece I showed you, this one was also done the traditional way in section by section, colour by colour. No parking involved. I wish I had known about parking back then as well. Would have certainly saved me a lot of time. So this is stitched 2/1 full crosses, and the colour of this fabric is I would say like a dark mushroom. So really like that piece. Thought it would look nice in a an antique style frame, maybe something gold. So that was lots of fun. Now this next one is another really big favourite of mine. This is called Keepsake Afghan, a record of baby's first year by Linda Gillum. That's the chart there. And obviously I stitched the blanket. There's the rear of the chart. Some other designs. So I stitched this while I was pregnant with my daughter. And it's quite big. So I'm just going to have to scroll up. Oh, it's huge. I really hope you can see all that. So what I did was I stitched each of the bears and then I filled in the date afterwards. So we have the date of birth, then we have first bath, first ride, first smile, rolls over, sleeps all night, first curl and first tooth, sits up, crawls, peekaboo and waves bye-bye. I really like that peekaboo one. Stands and first words. So obviously this is special for sentimental reasons. Had planned to frame this one, but the framing costs at the time were just astronomical, and I decided that when I learned how to frame I would do it myself. I do need to fix the top because obviously this was stitched back in, oh, when was the last date filled in? About 1998, this would have been completely finished. And when I started it, I didn't leave the fringing at the top, as you can see there, but that should be easily fixed by just knotting some fringing onto what is existing there, and you won't even know. So my daughter actually had her birth photo taken with this wrapped around her as well. Obviously all dates weren't filled in at the time, but yeah, just a very special piece, and really like that, and hopefully she will pass this one down to her children one day. And I forgot to mention that's an 18 count soft white Ann cloth, and it's stitched 6 threads over 2 stitches, all full crosses. So as you can imagine, I went through quite a bit of DMC with that one, 6/2. Next one is another card. This one I did for my mum's birthday, and I'll insert a picture here. This is called Lavender Pot, and it was from the Ultimate Cross Stitch Cards magazine, volume 3, 2014. It's a design by Susan Bates, and I stitched this on 14 count white Aida, and it's just a lovely cheerful design. I know my mum loves the colour purple, she loves lavender, as do I, so I just thought it was something different. It caught my eye and I turned it into a lovely card. I forgot to take a photo of the card, so this is her photo, I started this on the 12th of May and finished on the 17th of May, so lovely little stitch, and she really liked that one. So the next one is Life's a Stitch. This is a Joan Elliott design, and I don't have the chart to show you because it was a chart that I borrowed from the library. It's from the book called A Woman's World in Cross Stitch, and this is the design, and I finished it as a little pincushion. So I have a tutorial on this if anyone is interested. So both sides are actually Aida cloth, and then I just whip stitched around the edges with beads, left an opening, stuffed it with some wadding, and then closed up the opening, which made a nice little pincushion. And there's some lovely little beads that I added to the design. And I just really love the colours in this. I love the saying, life's a stitch. It's better than the other version. And very appropriate for a cross stitcher, I felt. I started this one on the 29th of May and finished it on the 30th of May. So very, very simple. And this is also stitched on 14 count white Aida. So it's a Joan Elliott, as I mentioned before. Next is another favourite. I have a lot of favourites. This one is by Artisy, and it's called Macaws. And this is my first Artisy cross stitch design. This was 9 pages, and I stitched this on the recommended black 14 count Aida. This is it here. And I just love how realistic that looks. I love birds, unlike my sister who is scared of birds. I just love the colours. And that log, I mean, how realistic does that log look? It's just perfect. So the actual artwork was by H.G. Rose, and it was adapted by Tarina Clark. And I stitched this one, I haven't signed it, but it was around 2013. And this was going to be put in a green mat board frame for our rumpus room. And as you can see, that hasn't been done yet.